Hey, successful fam. We know that everyone deserves a place to be successful. That's why all day, May 4th and May 5th, we are hosting our Successful Summit 2026 in Asheville, North Carolina. During this summit, you will experience panelists, keynote speakers, as well as interactive workshops led by yours truly, as well as other brilliant queer entrepreneurs across the country. If you'd like to learn more about our summit, you can find out more on queerandsuccessful.com, and we hope to see you there. Enjoy today's episode. Far too often, LGBTQ plus business owners believe they have to choose between authenticity and being successful. Through these real-life stories, LGBTQ plus listeners aspiring for success can gain valuable insights to navigate their path to being both queer and successful. Hello, everyone. It's me, Hunter J. McNair, your hostess with the mostest, back again for this week's episode of Queer and Successful. This week, I am joined by my new good Judy and my new good pal. He probably doesn't actually understand that reference, so I'll have to teach him that later. Pip Haxby-Thompson, who is out of Haddon Township, New Jersey, which borders the Pennsylvania and New Jersey state line. And he has been in the business since 2018 and runs the Real Pride Network, or is that rather the founder of Real Pride Network for Real. So, Pip, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi, Hunter. Thank you so much for having me. I love that introduction. And I do know the reference as well.
I do. Okay,
I do.
good.
I've been
Okay,
here long
great.
enough to pick up on that. So I'm
Listen,
good.
some don't.
So I'm the founder of Real Pride Network. I also co-run the JFK Living team with my husband, Jeremiah. We have a sort of mid-sized team, 10 agents, 5 staff members. And since 2018, we've now helped over 1,000 families make a move in the area. So business is going great. And yeah, we love what we're doing.
Love. And, you and I have been kind of talking over the last few weeks about everything you're doing with the now Real Pride Network that you founded last
year. Yeah. Yes. We started Real Pride Network in July last year. So I was kind of aware. So Real Broker was founded, I think, 2014. We joined in 2022. And there are several, factions within the brokerage that have developed. There was Real Military, Real Luxury. They had Women of Real. And I was getting aware of a space that just wasn't available for the LGBTQ agents at the brokerage. Me being me, I was like, okay, I'm going to pick up the mantle here and press forward with this. So we founded it in July last year, and we're just sort of really looking to grow it within the brokerage. I'm being very mindful that whilst we are a space for LGBTQ agents within the brokerage to help support our clients, first and foremost, we are also opening to allies within the brokerage as well, because if we're looking to sort of send referrals to places around the country, often we may not have an LGBTQ agent in that neighborhood, but maybe we've got someone who we know is very supportive of our community. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
That, and by the way, really big missed opportunity to not just call it Real Gay.
I know, right?
Like
Real Gay,
Real Women, Real Gay. The Real Gay Network. I
could always change it,
Listen,
there's still time.
You don't have like brand. You have merch right now, don't you?
I do, yeah. But it's all like nothing that says Real Pride on it. So it's like I'm wearing some right now. There are 3 core values at Real. There's work hard, be kind, tech times humanity, and we are bigger than me. And I've just done a little like rainbow spin on it. So yeah, I've still got time. I could
Listen,
go with Real Gay.
At least a shirt that says Real Gay, Real Pride.
Okay. All right.
That would be cute, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So I think I would buy a swag store using one of my wonderful lesbian friends in Collingswood, one of our neighbors. So yeah, I could just be like, Mindy, come on, let's get this going. I love full creative control.
Yeah. Well, it's cool too that you mentioned that you're going to hear a lot of Southern today.
Mm.
You're not used to that. Yeah, that y'all, yeah. It's actually a cool thing that you all are obviously incorporating allies into the conversation in the very beginning. When I was on the leadership council for Rainbow Network, that has existed now for 20 some odd years. And actually when it was founded was before sodomy laws were outruled basically by the court, 2003. Or 2005 rather. So when it was initiated, when it was started, they didn't allow allies because it wasn't really safe to allow non-queer people in the space at that time. And that's kind of not changed. That group is still explicitly LGBTQ and not including allies. And it's been difficult to figure out how to, weave that back in. And so it's a good thing, I think, that you've started it that way, and you're going to find there's going to be opportunities to have solutions with some of the nuances that come with that. But it's a good thing that you started like that.
Yeah, and I've been thinking, because this is like a partial work in progress as I'm sort of navigating my way through running a network like this. I really want to make sure I've nailed down, what our core values are, have a mission statement so people can, like, you've got to buy in on this. Like, if you don't believe this like wholeheartedly, then you can't be a part of this group. But my co-founder Nicole Borsey, who is up in Connecticut, she is an ally, but she has a transgender kid. So this, I think, is very important to have those people. Like, if you're not directly in the LGBT community, you often have a family member who is, and you can offer that same level of support and understanding. So that's why I was like, I think we need to sort of like open up a little bit more. And the response has been great. Jeremiah, my husband, he was on a call with a bunch of agents in the area, and they were like so on board to help sponsor an event that we've got coming up. And they were like, this is awesome. We just didn't know about it. So I'm just trying to get the message out there that we have this within the brokerage. But so far, yeah, it's been a really great response.
I love it. Trust me. And I know all about that. And it's just, yeah, it's just conversations, it's just letting people know, just letting,
Yep.
giving people permission. So obviously I want to talk more about your past, and obviously, continue to talk about what you're doing today. So obviously you're not from America. We have a bit of an accent.
What gave it away?
What gave it away? And you are from Worcester, United
Worcester.
Kingdom.
Yes.
United.
Worcester.
You just got to say it with a little accent, right? What? United Kingdom. Is that a small town? Is it a big city, small town? What's the vibe there?
It's like a medium-sized city. There's probably about 120,000 residents that live in the city of Worcester. So it's big-ish, but it's not huge.
North, south, where's it at?
It's in the Midlands. If you have okay, this is a map of the UK, and this is probably mirrored. So I'm trying to think.
Fine. We'll pretend
London.
I know. Okay, yeah.
Down here in the southeast. Then you have like Birmingham right in the Midlands here, and then Worcester is just a little bit below that. So it's about 2.5 hours northwest of London. You've got Wales over here, so kind of like about an hour from Wales.
Okay.
So yeah, we're right in the middle.
Okay, so it's
the UK.
Yeah, that's your map. It's just a hand. Okay, so it's like London, but it's Worcester.
Sure.
It's West. It's yes. It's a joke. It's a dumb joke. Okay, so we grew up in Worcester, which is relatively. I mean, I would say 100 and some thousand people is relatively small for a city.
Sure.
We'll say sure.
Yep.
And when you were growing up, like, what did you aspire to be? What did you want to be when you were growing up?
Oh, goodness me. Well, when I was really young, I actually wanted to own a nature reserve, but have a restaurant in the middle of the nature reserve and run the restaurant.
That's very specific.
It was very specific. That did not come to pass. So then I was going to be a veterinary surgeon. Okay. I did all my sort of, GCSEs and A-level education training. I got offered a place at Glasgow University. I had a few health concerns during my A levels, and I got a B in chemistry. I needed an A, so they rescinded my place. And then I was like, what the hell am I going to do? I was 19. I took myself off to Thailand for 10 weeks traveling. I did a course in Thai massage while I was there. I was like, this is wonderful. Maybe I can do some kind of alternative therapy when I come back to the UK. Looked into a few, found acupuncture, and I ended up going to acupuncture school for 4 years. So I am a trained acupuncturist as well as a real estate agent.
I mean, you could literally have a little sign writer that says like free acupuncture. I was going to say free needles, but that might be a little
that might be
yeah,
misinterpreted.
yeah. Maybe for your Philly listings. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Know your audience.
Yeah, know your audience, know your niche. No, I'm kidding. I don't know anything about it there, so I am totally spewing nonsense.
You're not far off.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm just imagining. I'm a country boy, right? So I'm just like, okay, city danger. I don't know. But okay, so cool. So we go from wanting to, as a kid, we wanted to run a little, very gay, a little restaurant in a wooded forest with unicorns.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Acupuncturist. And for you, and we talk about this a lot in this podcast, about when we come out to ourselves and then when we come out to other people, and sometimes that that we go in, we go out, we have to come out multiple times. I know for you, you kind of started coming out to yourself at around 11. Is that about right?
Yeah, it was. I think I was like that half hint of an awareness probably started about 8, but I was fully aware by the time I was 11 years old. I actually came out to my best friend at school. She was actually very relieved because she thought that I was going to ask her out. And then I said, no, I'm gay. She's like, oh, thank God.
That's so funny. It's funny how the only people who don't know are the people in school. Like everyone else like knows except the girls who have crushes on you. Continue.
Yeah. So that was, 11. And then I had a little bit of a traumatic coming out experience when I was 13. Something happened. My mum found out about it, said some awful things. I actually ended up trying to commit. I didn't actually commit suicide. I tried to commit suicide. And so that was a rough time. And then I sort of went back into the closet. But by the time I got to like 15, 16, I was like, yeah, I'm there's no denying it. I'm sorry. This is just who I am. But it took a while.
Well, you were so young.
Yeah, I was. This was at the time when I was at school in the UK. They had a thing called Section 28. So no school teacher could talk about homosexuality, could offer any support or guidance or anything really. So I felt really isolated. I didn't know any other gay people. So it was just me trying to figure it out. And I was carrying so much shame surrounding it. It just took a really long time for me to be okay with it. Probably like late 20s, maybe even into my 30s, if I'm being entirely honest here. It's taken a long time for me to kind of resolve that side of me. But yeah,
I know. Now. Yeah. No, I know. And I like to let you kind of process, that train of thought, because, we do know when we're quite young. We obviously have the he's cute, moments, growing up. But, you mentioned the representation, right? And I think it's interesting I find it interesting because like my experiences, obviously growing up in the South, your experiences of America, your experiences growing up in Worcester in the United Kingdom, how they can still be somewhat similar, even though they're in completely different parts of the world, right? A lot of the times the conversations here around coming out, it usually is rooted in what you just said. There's no representation, right? Like you almost like think it's not real. And, of course here it's a lot of religion is a factor in that. Was that a factor for your family as well?
No, not particularly. For me, it was more of a generational thing. So my mom had me when she was 48 years old, which is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
So, she was just a lot older than a lot of other parents. So it just took her a while to be okay with it. And she's very outspoken. So there was a lot of things that were said when I was younger that required a fairly extensive therapy when I was in my late 20s to finally be okay with all of that.
Coming out to your family is really difficult, and it still happens. Like I was going to say, I know what I was going to say now. I actually got a comment literally on one of my Instagram reels that I saw this morning of like, talk like a man, and I'm like, what does a man talk like? I'm like, first of all, if this is not what a man talks like, I don't want to be one. No. It's just, I think that I will say, I think in general, hurt people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's a lot to unpack with that.
There is a lot to unpack with that. And, and the general rhetoric right now surrounding absolutely everything is awful. Everyone has been sort of fed this maelstrom of bullshit that is just allowing people to sort of think and feel and speak whatever the hell they like. And nowhere is worse than online on social media. The keyboard warriors, I mean, it's just, yeah,
It's a wild, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a post actually go somewhat viral, which is weird, but like viral on Facebook. Like it's got like it's like 80,000 views, but it was just me posting about calling your senators, and it's a lot of bots. Like a lot of these hate people are just robots. Actually, like you look on their profiles and they're inactive. They have two friends. They have no profile picture, or a profile picture that was updated 6 years ago, and you're like, okay, this is weird. So, we've also, we didn't have that experience growing up, but the new generation does, right? Like they have to, post their things and get that type of backlash, if you may. So you mentioned a few times, like, 11 or 8 kind of had your own rumblings. 13, you came out, we had our experiences there. And then you mentioned 16. What happened at 16?
What happened at 16? I just couldn't hide it anymore. I was like, I can't deny this part of me, and you kind of just gonna have to deal with it to my mom, really. And yeah, and then I started like rebelling a little bit, 17, 18. I was kind of a dick.
I mean, I'm still
weren't we all? There was at
Yeah.
least one point during teenage years where we went through something. Yeah, rebelled a little bit, but I came back around fairly quickly.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. By the way, my premarital name, because I actually changed my name when I got married. My premarital name was Richard Edmund Hunter Johnson. And I had 4 names. And so the very first gay bar I ever went to, they looked at my ID, and I wasn't out at the time, so don't ask why I was at a gay bar, but they were like, your name is Richard Johnson, which, if you know, Richard is Dick. And so they're like, your name's Dick Johnson. And I was like, well, it's like, yeah, they're like, your name's Dick Dick. I'm like, no, it's not Dick Dick. I go by Hunter. And they're like, okay, so your name's Dick Hunter?
Dick Dick.
They're like, your name's Dick Hunter Dick. I know. I was like, my parents really should have known. You know what I mean?
Yeah, double Dick Hunter. That's like
double
really...
Dick Hunter. Well, you got to say it. You got to say it real country. You got to say like Dick Hunter Johnson, Dick Hunter
Johnson.
Yeah, you got to say it real country when you say it, right? Because that's more accurate to where I am from. So your mom and was your dad around?
No, I never met my father.
Okay. Yeah. So your I could try not to say mom. Your mother has come around eventually.
Okay. Yeah, I had, before I met Jeremiah, I had another relationship that was fairly serious, and I met Jamie in my early to mid 20s. I think I was maybe like 23, 24, something like that. And he actually moved in with me and my mum. So she kind of had to get on board with that.
It is always a boy. It is always a boy.
It's always a boy. But honestly, I think that actually really helped her be like, oh, actually, you're just like normal, like any other couple. And, conversations that I had with her over time was more that she was just really worried about how the world was going to treat me more than anything else. And I think
Yeah.
that brought out this, particularly in the early days, this sort of ugly side of it. But it came from a place of she was just really worried for me overall.
Yeah, of course. And, I think I've also started to realize, because you mentioned the thing where it's like, oh, they're normal, is also that oftentimes the fear is rooted, or not even rooted, but a lot of times it's like, they don't like femininity, and like,
Yeah.
or just, being,
I mean, I'm having memories right now actually of this popping
Yeah.
up. So I had my best friend that I came out to at school, Kate, and then Kaz. So like it was the three of us were like best friends. We were over and we were at my house, and I was maybe 15, and we were watching the Rocky Horror Picture Show at home, and like mum walks in and she's like a couple minutes just like looking at the screen, and then she just says, she's like, "Do you like to wear women's underwear?"
My God.
I'm like, no, but this is like the interpretation that people have,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like,
No,
no, I don't.
yeah. I mean, I've had people on the podcast who have said, like, when they came out, they said they were gay, and the first thing their parents asked them was like, okay, are you going to wear dresses now? Like, is that, the direction you're going? And so, it's unfortunate, because obviously I think that we as gay men have a responsibility also to note that, and also think about our trans siblings in that conversation, because you already know that if we were getting that, and that was the hard part we were getting, imagine what it's like to actually come out as trans, because that is what they, they are not the same gender. So it is fascinating how it always turns out to be just kind of a hate on insulting masculinity and what that looks like for
Yeah, yeah.
society.
And I think that
Now,
has to
yeah.
be, there's a responsibility for parents these days to just allow their kids a certain amount of freedom to kind of explore what that looks like as well without any judgment. When I think back to my, youth, and I was like, weirdly, there was like a part of me going, if I was just a woman, I wouldn't have to deal with this. If I was just a woman, I wouldn't be in this position. So there would have been an argument at that time. Well, maybe he's transgender, but actually, I'm not. I'm just gay. So
Yeah.
there needs to be that sort of exploratory time where it's like, okay, like with a kid, they've got to figure out like truly how they feel and sort of recognize what that is without any, I think, pushing from anyone. Just sort of allow the freedom of their own exploration.
Yeah, because that's literally what every other kid is given permission to do,
Yes.
like like it's like no one thinks about that with straight kids or cis
Right.
kids. It's like, yeah, you let them do whatever you want, like they want. You let them explore their lives or their sexuality and their gender
Mm-hmm.
expression and all those other things. Why not let us? You're right, it's a lot of it's rooted in fear. A lot of it's rooted in parents like wanting a better life for us, or just not wanting things to be quote unquote more difficult. But the reality is like, okay, well, maybe if we just start like embracing that it is going to be different, then we can have a more productive conversation about that than not. So you graduate, I don't know what high school is called in the UK. Is it called high school?
High school. Yep.
Primary school? I'm going to say primary school.
We
It
have
sounds fancy.
primary school and then a high school. And
Okay.
then
Okay.
some people go to college, but I did my college years in my high school.
Okay. Okay. But you call it university usually.
Then there's university. That's separate.
Okay, that's too much math for me on a Tuesday. It's not even Tuesday. All right.
So I graduated high school, like the college years of
Yeah.
high school in 2001. I was 17.
Okay. Okay. So you go to
18.
study acupuncture. You went to acupuncture
Yes,
college,
I did.
but then you also dived into hospitality. Was that like in conjunction with acupuncture? Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. So like early career, I've worked as a barista, worked front of house in restaurants, and then I was studying acupuncture. And then within the UK, if you become a trained acupuncturist, it's relatively difficult to actually earn a livable wage as an acupuncturist. So then I was doing front of house at this restaurant called Saffron's. I worked that on and off for like 11 years. I love Nick and Chrissy, Dear, I love you guys. And so I kind of did this sort of front of house thing while doing the acupuncture kind of simultaneously.
And you became a sommelier.
And then and then when I finally made the move to the US, I took my Court of Master Sommeliers level 1 up at the Culinary Institute of New York in December 2016 and came top of the class.
I mean,
Obviously.
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 I mean, if they didn't know you were gay.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
And then, yeah, I went on to work for a wine distribution company when I first came over here. Yeah.
That's wild. And you said sommelier much better than I did. So much fancier than I did. So, and we talked a little bit before we started recording about what your decision was to move to the States. And of course, it essentially was a boy.
It was a boy, another boy.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I know.
another boy, as one does. So you met your now husband in 2012, correct?
2012, yeah.
Yep.
So it was, and I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving 2012. We started talking on Scruff. He, when we had the global search grid, and his like photo popped up a few times, and I was like, I'm gonna message him. And the reason he was living in Palm Springs, California, I was in the UK. The reason why I messaged him, I actually had some friends in the UK who had a house in Palm Springs. So in my head, I was like, wow, like I'll message him and like maybe I can go have like a holiday fling in Palm Springs. Like, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
So I message him and I go, oh, you're really fit. Let's get married on a move to America, lol. And then send a few, choice photographs.
Mhm.
And I know it was that because he was on a date at the time and it wasn't going very well. Some guy from LA, so he like kicks him out. He's like, you gotta go back to LA. Starts talking to me, and then we started Skyping every day for like an hour to 2 hours.
Presume.
So
Yep.
very quickly we began to realize that okay, there's actually something here. And then the January of 2013, January 28th, actually, it was yesterday, we had our meetiversary. I flew into LAX and he came to pick me up at the airport. Now, something you need to know about Jeremiah, he's 5'7" on a good day. And
Hey, now
when
I'm
he
5'5" on a good day. So
he also when you get him out in the sun, he goes like a beautiful like dark olive complexion as well, super dark hair, black beard. My flight landed at the same time as Air Mexico, so when I walked out into the waiting room, there was a sea of Jeremiah's.
oh, that's so funny.
I'm like, which one is it?
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, I found him, gave him a big kiss at the airport,
Aw.
and then we had 10 wonderful days in Palm Springs. And then we had a huge argument at the end of that stay because we were both like, what the hell are we doing here? It was the start of 2013, gay marriage, it was illegal in the US and still in the UK at that time. But we made a promise to each other that we were just going to try. So we said full steam ahead. And actually, like when we finally got married, we have on the inside of our wedding band, which I'm wearing, you can't see it at all, but it says full steam ahead on our
Aw.
wedding band, had those made. So yeah, we made a commitment to each other. We were just going to at least try.
I love that.
Yeah. I went back out there April 2013 for 3 months. It was the longest I could stay without any kind of visa. And towards the end of the stay in the June, that is when they repealed DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act. So I was in Palm Springs. There was this huge celebration under the giant Marilyn Monroe statue that they have downtown. And we were like, oh my goodness, this is like finally happening. We've got something that, is real and could happen here for us. So at the end of that trip, he proposed to me at the airport on my way home. It was so romantic and so heart-wrenching because at that point we didn't know when we were going to see each other again. I ended up coming back out again that November for a week, and I secured a J1 visa, hospitality visa, so I could come back the following year, the following January, and work a full 12 months. And I worked front of house in a hotel, a Hard Rock hotel at the time, and then went to do some restaurant management at another hotel, the Saguaro Hotel. Then I had to leave again and come back to the UK.
Back and forth, yeah.
And we didn't know where we were going to see each other again. And then in the interim, Jer actually moved to the East Coast to be closer to his family. But then in the 2015, that's when they had the Obergefell versus Hodges case, and full federal marriage equality was passed, and I could finally then apply for a K1 visa, fiance visa, and move to the US. So I did that in the April of 2016. A really wonderful part of this story is I went down to the embassy in London, the US embassy, and I had my, all my files and photographs and all the evidence of our relationship up until this point. And I went up to the teller and she's looking through my file and she looks at me and she goes, "You guys are the real deal, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I really love him. And I can't wait to be back with him." And she goes, "This is the first time we've been able to issue a same-sex fiance visa at this embassy, and I am so happy to be able to do this." And she starts crying and stamps a big red approved on my visa application, and then I'm bawling my eyes out and she's crying. It's a really, and like, will I be written into any history books? No, but the fact that I feel like a little part of history at that point is just a wonderful story.
I love that. Listen, we can pick up a history book. We can pick up a history book and start writing that in. They're doing it. Why don't we? Yeah. I mean, they're changing it. Why don't we do it? Let's go.
Exactly. And that kind of like, I think really started to kind of shape things, when we finally did get into real estate and community involvement, that really sort of paved the way for the activism that we get involved with now, because it's really important, I think, particularly at the moment.
It's funny how, a lot of people have very rooted experiences on that date, on June 26, 2015, the day that Obergefell, happened. Because for myself, that was the day I signed on to be a real estate agent. That's the day I signed on with Keller Williams. The same. Congrats. Yeah, I was literally filling out my paperwork and I got the notification on my phone. And so I think it's interesting how that, I don't think we talk about that enough. I don't think we talk about how monumental that moment was for our community and the things that it's done for our generation, and how we look at what the next fight is, right? What the next opportunity is. And now, like, because we kind of got it and we're like, okay, now we got to keep pushing for the next, like, we got to keep pushing forward to help make this accepted everywhere, not just, the license, And so it's just interesting, and how monumental for you, especially because the flight to the UK and Palm Springs has got to be a
11 hours.
Flight.
11 hours.
I'd be like, please give me the visa just so I don't have to fly so much. Jesus.
I love being on the East Coast, where a flight back to the UK is like 7 now. It's much more doable.
Yeah, unfortunately he did move to the East Coast before then, but still, like, come on. So have y'all been in the same spot? Have you been in Jersey, the Jersey, Pennsylvania border since then, or did you move around?
So when I came out here in the May of 2016, he sold me on Philadelphia. We ended up in the Jersey suburbs in this little town called Riverside, which is a 2 mile square, tiny little blue collar town. And we ended up buying our first house at that time. It's a little 600 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, little bungalow. And it was amazing. We bought it for $126,000.
Wild. Y'all have some cheap real estate up there.
We did. Well, we did.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. But yeah, we lived there for 7 years with our 2 dogs. We had a really wonderful little marriage ceremony on the banks of the Delaware River on Amico Island on June 9th, 2016. It was Jeremiah, his 2 sisters, our 2 dogs. We had an officiant and a photographer, and we set up a little Skype camera for my family back home. They had a bigger party back in the UK
That's funny.
that we did here. I look back at the photos the other day, and my sister, she's like, they had a wedding cake and like the two little grooms on top and like a whole garden party. I was like, you guys are having a great time. We
That's
just
so
went into
funny.
Philly and went to Trier and had some cheese and wine. That's about it.
Why didn't you both go over to the UK and do a little celebration there?
Well, that was always the plan. The plan
Yeah.
was we'll go back to the UK and we'll have a reception in the UK. And I was promised year one, it would happen. Year two, it would happen. Year five, it would happen.
That's when you just got to do it. It's one of those, if you don't.
Now I'm like, do you know what? Like the time has passed. I'd like let's just go on vacation now.
Alyssa, I know this is a sidetrack, but like so I have this thing on New Year's Day. We always take everything down for Christmas. Okay. I'm like, because if we don't do it, then it's not going to happen. And it's the same thing. And so literally, like, so I took the Christmas downstairs. My husband took the Christmas upstairs. He still has a Christmas tree up, y'all. It is, what is today? January 29th. I'm like,
Bad
y'all,
luck. You
that
can't go
tree is
past
still
January
up.
5th.
You got exactly. I'm like, you got to get, I mean, all the ornaments are off, but the tree is in the window. Anyway, that's the thing. You got to do it right away. So you know
Yes.
firsthand. These comparisons are exactly the same.
And I will
Christmas,
never do like a vow renewal or anything. You know how people are like,
yeah.
oh, I'm going to renew because like I hear if you do that,
Is that a
6
thing?
months later, you're getting divorced. Like
Is
there's
that a
just
thing?
no, oh yeah, it's a
Oh, I
thing.
didn't
I'm
know
like,
that.
no, I'm not doing that.
Well,
We'll just
I
go on
sometimes I
vacation.
joke. Just another vacation. Sometimes I do actually joke with Justin a lot, and I'm like, next wedding, I think I want to just to keep
This
him
is
on
what I
his
would do
toes.
differently.
Yeah, I'm like, my next wedding, I think I want this. We've been together for, I don't know, too long now. So I'm going on 13 years.
Yeah.
Justin and I have
Yeah.
been
It's,
together.
it's the same. Yep.
Yeah, so similar time. Yeah, 2013. Yeah. So obviously you moved to the States and you're in love, and
Mhm.
it's 2016, you're getting married. You also not even 2 years later, both get into real estate and start a
Yeah.
real estate career and a business. You get out of hospitality, you stop smelling wine, and you're like, okay. I mean,
Listen, I have a
it's what it
big nose.
is.
This is
I do
great for,
too.
getting it in the wine glass and
Yeah, just going on in
some
there.
good olfactory senses.
Yeah. So you had saved up money from smelling wine, and you decided you're gonna you're gonna start a business. Tell me, like, and I know you told me a little bit, like it's a bit of a family business now too, because there's some family members involved and things like that. Tell me about like the first year of starting a business. What was the first year of being a real estate agent like?
Yeah. So Jeremiah got his license first. He actually got licensed in October of 2017. Unfortunately, it was right at the same time when his father passed away unexpectedly. So there's a little bit of, a traumatic time for the whole family. So he didn't officially start in real estate until like the January, February the next year. But very quickly, he's like, you need to get your license. Come join me, because what I want to do is start a real estate team from scratch. So I went to real estate school. I actually went with his sister, Mel. We got our license together, and we both got licensed in July 2018 on my birthday, July 12th.
Noting Cancer.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I am accepting cards and gifts. So, and then Mel took a few more months to kind of get through her regular job and everything to join us. So it was like me and Jeremiah just trying to figure this out. We didn't know how to be a realtor really, because they don't really teach you in realtor school.
No.
Trying to figure stuff out. We knew we had to do video. We were very much in listening to Tom Ferry at the time, and he was like, do video, do video, do video. So we would do sort of market updates. We would do local business interviews, post on Facebook. I was doing all the recording, the editing on iMovie, I think at the time.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
it was like a very low level
Low budget.
production, low budget.
Low budget, yeah.
I look back at some of those like early videos of us as well, and like it's so cringe.
Listen, same sis. Like, but you gotta go through it to get to the end of it. Like, no, you don't run a marathon day one,
Exactly. Yeah. So it was like a slow process. We maybe sold, I think in that first year, 2018, 7, 8 homes. I mean, we didn't do a lot. And then 2019, yeah, his sister Mel joined us. We had another agent, Justin. So we were the core 4, as we like to coin ourselves. We got through 2019. I think we ended up, between the 4 of us, I think we sold like 50 homes, 53 homes back in 2019. And then 2020 came around, the start of 2020. We got into Tom Ferry coaching proper. We went to the Tom Ferry Elite Retreat.
How was that?
It was awesome, honestly. Like those early days of Tom Ferry, when the organization was still not huge as it is now, it was intimate and inspiring. And it really pushed us. We met so many people that to this day we're such good friends with, that we now know, so many agents around the US. Like it's been wonderful for our business, I will say that. So that was really great. One thing happened in 2020 with our first broker at the time that kind of set us on a very different trajectory overall. We set up a local chapter for NAGLREP, the National Association of Gay and Lesbian Real Estate Professionals. And we put on a little mixer for agents, lenders, home inspectors, whoever in the LGBT community that works in the field of real estate. And we put it on our local brewery, Kings Road in Haddonfield. And this was in the January of 2020. And our broker came along to show support. And at the end of the mixer, she sort of took Jeremiah and I off to one side. And she goes, this is really great. But she goes, if you want to be successful in real estate, she goes, you're really going to have to, tone it down. And I was like,
I could go on and on about this one.
I go, well, excuse me, what do you mean? She goes, well, be less gay. So hang on, let me just grab something real quick.
Oh gosh, okay, I'm excited. I mean, should I be excited? I don't know if I'm excited.
So we did the absolute opposite. Yeah.
It says F it, I'll be more gay.
Yeah,
more gay.
Okay, I'll be more gay. I actually told this story to someone, a mortgage lender, Nicole Peroni, and she actually had this like little office plaque made.
That is hilarious.
So yeah, we have that in our office. So yeah, we were like, absolutely not. Then decided that this brokerage is not going to be a good fit for us. And then moved. We were at Keller Williams for a couple years. We brought on our first staff member in 2020, Steph, our marketing manager, who is still our marketing manager, also from the UK, funnily enough. And she sort of put our brand on steroids. And over the course of 2020 into 21, we grew to 26 agents. Jeremiah's other sister, Jen, came onto the team as our transaction coordinator. And we sort of grew and grew. We actually, agent count has reduced. We've got 10 agents on the team now. We have 5 staff members, but we're doing roughly like 250 transactions a year as a team.
It's amazing.
So yeah.
It's amazing.
That's the business side of things.
Now, that's the business side of things. Was that a Keller Williams office that said that to you?
No, that was another one. I don't know whether I should.
Sorry, who was it? I'm just kidding.
We call it the Yellow Company.
Okay.
Around here.
Okay. I'll have to Google that. It's so funny. Like I never pay attention to other firms. Like I never pay attention to what everyone else is doing. Like I'm like, oh, there's a new place. Okay. I don't know. I just do my work. Yeah. So it's the Yellow Company. Okay. It's going to come to me eventually.
It begins with a W.
Hold on. Okay. Now I really don't know. Okay. This is how out of touch.
It's kind of like a small ish, like Northeast.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's like a boutique thing. Yeah. I mean, honestly though, even, I love Keller Williams. Obviously I'm with Keller Williams. Every office is independently owned and operated, right? Yes. Like it's a private company, right? We have to be aware of that.
Yep.
And yeah, so even if it was, it's what it is. So obviously you decided to lean more into that. And what's kind of funny when you say all that too, is like when I actually started real estate as well, I didn't necessarily experience people being like, don't be the gay one, because good luck. I'm trying to not have me be the gay one. But I think what I experienced a lot of was like doing trainings and going to things that really didn't like speak to the queer experience. You know, it's like, okay, you know, here's what you do to get business. You take your kid on a little red cart and you go door knocking, and, you know, you go to the school drop off with your chickens. I call them chickens. And so a lot of the training was just not like, it was just kind of hetero centered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, that's never going to relate to me. And so that's a lot of the reason why Queer and Successful exists, right? Is to kind of have a queer perspective on training, right? On like, you know, actually building a business, and what that looks like for us. So I can totally understand, you know.
Well, the funny thing is, you know, we were told in order to be successful, you need to pigeonhole yourself and like, be, you know, tone it down and be less gay. We did the opposite. There was a certain element of fear associated with that, of like, are we doing the right thing? But honestly, I think we've been even more successful as a consequence of putting it out there that we are, yes, we are an LGBTQ run team. We have a full spectrum of agents on the team. We lean into and we set up Haddon Township Pride in our community that is now one of the biggest Pride events in all of South Jersey. You know, Philadelphia still beats us, but they're a major city.
It's Philadelphia, yeah.
You know, we've had a write-up in the New York Times. We got a proclamation from the state of New Jersey. And like, I have had people reach out to me. They're like, we love what you guys are doing within the community and that you are authentically yourselves. We want to work with you. So you end up attracting way more business as a consequence of it. And you end up working with people that already you love, and you like, you've got something like a similar footing.
Well, you know, I've read a lot in general, and one of the biggest things they say is if you try to appeal to everyone, you'll appeal to no one.
Yes, correct.
Right. Yep. And also, like, think of it like this: you go to get ice cream. You mentioned ice cream earlier, so it's in my head. You go to get ice cream. I think you mentioned ice cream. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll say you did. Yeah.
Yes, I did mention ice cream.
You mentioned ice cream on the podcast. Yeah. So I say, you know, like when you go to an ice cream store, right? Like you see all the flavors. You know, you see like, oh, like there's mint chocolate, there's double chocolate. You're like, okay, where are you going with this, Hunter? What you're asking me to be, what you're requesting is that our industry or entrepreneurship in general be an ice cream store that only sells vanilla.
Yeah, boring.
Right? It's boring. And you're like, okay, well, there's 20 flavors, 19 of them are vanilla, and one's mint chocolate. Which would I rather be? The person who's the mint chocolate, who I'm always going to get the person who wants mint chocolate? Or do I want to compete against the 19 other vanillas? Like, that doesn't be a vanilla and then competing against other vanillas. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. It's not only boring, it's also who wants to work with you any different than anybody else, right?
And so I think real estate as an industry, we live in a world of mundane where there are thousands upon thousands of mediocre, mundane real estate agents.
Tell them how it is.
And if you are not standing out in a way that is engaging with your community and authentically yourself, I'm not saying you have to be super gay unless you are, but if you're not finding some way of putting yourself out there, particularly in today's market where everything is so socially driven, you're going to lose to somebody else who has figured out that's the way to run a successful entrepreneur business.
Yeah, people don't remember what you do; they remember who you are.
Correct.
Right. And so, yeah. And there's so many,
how you make them feel.
Correct. And, you know, there's just it is really always fascinating with that. But I think, you know, obviously like trainings and stuff, they're always trying to like appeal to the biggest audience. So they're trying to teach you the most generic things, but there's that magic sauce that only you can really figure out, that you have to figure out. And for us, it was easy. We're just real gay, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's a little easier, little TM. I'm trademarking it. You're gonna have to buy that off me. But you know,
can I just say, sometimes my husband Jeremiah, I'm relinquishing some of his secrets here. If he's in conversation with people sometimes and like he hears of like a really good idea, he's like, I'm buying the domain. So I'm going to go buy the domain right now.
Listen, I own a few. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm on Jeremiah's side.
He's like, one day they'll be reaching out to me.
It's like,
Ten
can I
thousand
buy
dollars,
this?
I'll sell it to you.
That's hilarious. Is he like outgoing, like, or is he more reserved in general?
No, he's pretty outgoing.
Okay.
He sometimes needs his like, downtime, but he is very, very driven, probably more so than I am. He's very competitive, but he's also got a very operations mindset. His brain, honestly, he astounds me sometimes,
Don't compliment them. They'll think they can do bigger things without you. Don't do
Yeah,
compliment them.
well, the business wouldn't be the business if it wasn't for his drive and his passion. But he is
Okay.
obsessed. He is literally obsessed
I
with
love it.
it. I mean, we were talking last night. It got to like 9:30. I was like, I'm going to bed. I love you. And he's like, yeah, I'll be there. And he's still real estating in his head and like,
Yeah.
how can we do this? How can we expand there? What can we do here? Yeah.
That's beautiful though. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Working with my husband, I totally get it. Actually, you're right, because I have to be like, okay, it's 9:30. Let's stop the real estate work. Like, I'm turning my
Yeah.
brain off.
I
Let's move
prefer be
on.
like, it's 8 p.m. enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At
8 o'clock. That's
least have
fair.
an hour of like just
Yeah, I'm
my
ready for the
husband's.
sun to be out longer. I'll tell you that, because that makes it a little bit easier too. But so and I, we're obviously getting closer to time, so I want to get to as well your decision to start the Real Pride Network with Real, because that's a big undertaking, and I mean, obviously, you don't seem to be a person who's afraid to do that. Tell me about that decision. Like, obviously, you mentioned the seeing the Real Pride, the Real Women, the Real other affinity groups.
Yeah, real
What?
military, real luxury. Yeah, so I
Mm-hmm.
saw all these like, divisions or affinity groups popping up within real, and I recognized that there was this sort of gap. And as somebody who champions for the LGBT community in our local area, I was like, I need to create this space, within real itself. So yeah, that's where the Real Pride Network was born. It's slow going. I think we have maybe 70, 80 members that have signed up. Reaching people is still difficult, even within the brokerage. We have Work Vivo as a platform. I've set up a Facebook group now. I have an Instagram page. I'm slowly kind of getting there. But I think my goal for this year, if I could maybe get like around 200 people into the network by the end of the year, I will count that as a success. Um, and I'm planning for the Real Rise conference that we have in October. I'm planning a kind of awesome event get together for everyone,
Yep.
where it's at the Virgin Hotel in
You're a
Vegas, and
magician.
they have. Yeah, we have a little magician. Yeah, we have. There's a little room. They call it the Shag Room.
Oh my god.
I'm obsessed with that to start with. Uh, and then I was like Googling, I was like LGBT magicians in Vegas. And there was like one guy who I think left in 2019. And then they were like, what was it, Seafried and Royd? I'm like, well,
Oh my gosh.
they're
Yeah.
not around anymore.
No.
And then I was like, okay. And then I was like looking at some other ones. I was like, oh, none of these are like vibing. And I was like, okay, what about female magician? And then this magical Katrina popped up, and through conversing with her, she's like, oh yeah, did you find me? I was telling her about the organization. She's like, did you find me because of the video I was in? I'm like, what video? She goes, oh, I was in Chapel Rowan's Red Wine Supernova. I'm like, no effing way. Awesome. So I'm like, sold, booked, S check. So she's going to come and do some like close up magic with the group that night, and we'll have some drinks and food. And yeah, I'm trying to just get people kind of like a little bit excited about gathering together.
Yeah. Here, I mean, and I'm glad you made the Facebook group. I think you took my advice on that, but
I
I'm not
did,
sure.
I did. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm like, I think someone put that in your head. Um, yeah, I think the thing that you'll find is it's not necessarily about the number. It's about the like the culture and the commitment to like what the mission is. Like you said, you're developing, right?
Yes.
And just getting them kind of like on board with that. So it'll be really fun. I mean, you're in a really fun place with that, with it just starting. And again, the size, like overall matters, but it's really about the participation. And yeah, I was trying not to make a size joke there. It's like the size doesn't matter.
It's what you do with
Yeah.
it that counts.
Yes, exactly. See, you figured it out. So it's what you do with that matters, right? So I'm excited to see everything that you all are planning ahead. You are coming to
Thank you.
Successful Summit 2026, which
I
I'm
am.
excited
Yes, I
as
can't
well.
wait. I love Asheville. First off, I went to actually it was a Naggle Rep conference a couple years ago there.
Oh yeah, they did do
So
that, didn't they?
yeah, I love that. I love that town. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to come down. It's gonna be
Yeah, you
great.
got to, and also invite your people, give them a little bit of taste. Maybe, what would be really cool is, and maybe I should get with more of the leaders of, these groups, is like, if you all found some time to do like private networking within that space, like to say, okay, here's a meetup, we're having a meetup for real pride people, at the summit, or because that's what the other organizations do all the time. You just try to figure out where your people are.
Right.
We'll have like a WhatsApp chat, since Facebook chats are gone.
Right.
Group chats are gone for some reason. So we'll kind of do that kind of stuff, but we can talk about that off camera anyway.
All right.
And I always ask this question. And so I want to make sure I ask you this before we go. How do you define success? What would you define success as? See, if you had filled out your pre-podcast information form,
I know.
you would have
had
the
time
answer to this quicker.
You put me on the spot.
Of course it is.
I think for me personally, it's not about how much money you make. It's not about how many homes you sell. It's about what kind of legacy are you leaving within the community that you are working in. That for me feels like genuine success. If there are people within the community who will talk about what we've done and what we created, even long after we have done doing that, then I would count that as a level of success.
I love it. With that definition, you believe you're on the path to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for this conversation, Pip. It's been lovely. I think when you mix Southern with British, it's always an interesting dynamic. So we should do this more often.
Yeah.
We should.
Happy to come back.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much again, Pip. And if you are listening to this episode and enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and hit that subscribe to the podcast button. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel as well. Follow us on Instagram and all the amazing things. If you have not yet registered for Successful Summit in Asheville, North Carolina, you can find out more about that on queerandsuccessful.com. And I hope everyone has a safe, wonderful, and happy rest of their day and rest of their week. Bye, everyone.